Hey guys, so I'm back with more videos, of course. This is my dog Kato. Yes, I named him Kato from the Hunger Games. There is somebody sleeping in the front room, so I have to be a little quiet, but that's why I'm not all bubbly and yelling like I normally do. My giant 12 book haul. Alright, so just so you guys know, in order to make this go quicker, I am just going to read the descriptions off of the book rather than try and come up with my own, because as you guys know, I suck at describing books even when I've read them, much less when I have no idea what they're about. The first book that I'm about to show you, I have actually already read. That book is Quarantine the Loners by Lex Thomas. It is book number 1 in what is going to be the Quarantine trilogy. The flap says, a modern-day Lord of the Flies. It was just another ordinary day at McKinley High, until a massive explosion devastated the school. When loner David Thorpe tried to help his English teacher to safety, the teacher convulsed and died right in front of him. And that was just the beginning. A year later, McKinley has descended into chaos. All the students are infected with a virus that makes them deadly to adults. The school is under military quarantine, the teachers are gone, violent gangs have formed based on high school social cliques. Without a gang, you're as good as dead. And David has no gang. It's just him and his little brother Will against the whole school. In this frighteningly dark and captivating novel, Lex Thomas locks readers inside a school where kids don't fight to be popular, they fight to stay alive. I am going to do a review on this, and I will post it in a few days, but just to give you an idea of what I thought about it. My favorite series ever is The Hunger Games. I thought that nothing would ever replace that. But this book nearly knocked The Hunger Games into the ground. I loved it so much. That's all I'm going to say because I will save the rest for my review. The next book that I'm going to show you, I am actually already reading it. I'm a little over halfway through. That book is Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendare Blake. It is book number 1 in the Anna duology. Before I talk about the book, I want to show you my bookmark that I got because I love it. I only got it for like 50 cents because it was on clearance. And it is a Hermione Granger Deathly Hallows bookmark with a dangly thing. The inside flap says, just your average boy meets girl, girl kills people story. Cass Lowood has inherited an unusual vocation. He kills the dead. So did his father before him until his gruesome murder by a ghost he sought to kill. Now, armed with his father's mysterious and deadly athame, Cass travels the country with his kitchen witch mother and their spirit-sniffing cat. Together they follow legends and local lore, trying to keep up with the murderous dead, keeping pesky things like the future and friends at bay. When they arrive in a new town in search of a ghost the locals call Anna Dressed in Blood, Cass doesn't expect anything outside of the ordinary. Move, hunt, kill. What he finds instead is a girl entangled in curses and rage, a ghost like he's never faced before. She still wears the dress she wore on the day of her brutal murder in 1958. Once white, but now stained red and dripping blood. Since her death, Anna has killed any and every person who has dared to step into the deserted Victorian house she used to call home, but she, for whatever reason, spares his life. I am enjoying this book so far. It's not what I expected it to be, though. It's not as scary as I hoped. There are some parts that are a little gruesome. It's not as terrifying. I expected to be really creeped out by this book, but unfortunately that's not happening. But I am still enjoying it. It is a very entertaining story. The next book that I have is The Best Night of Your Pathetic Life by Tara Altebrando. The inside flap says, high school senior Mary Gilhooly and her friends have spent their entire lives, but especially the last 4 years, feeling like underdogs and also-rans. What the heck is an also-ran? I've never heard of that term in my life. If you know what that is, let me know in the comments, because I don't know. Having suffered constant ridicule from Oyster Point's resident bully king and super jock Jake Barbone, they are all just dying to go away to college and never come back. But with only a week until graduation, there's one last thing Mary feels they absolutely must do together. Compete against Barbone in the Oyster Point High School unofficial senior week scavenger hunt, and win. Everyone is racing for the finish line with complicated motives, and Mary's all-night adventure quickly becomes non-stop drama as shifting alliances, flared tempers, and crushing crushes take over. Though they are racking up points at a rapid clip, it soon becomes clear that she and her friends must reinvent their strategy and themselves if they want to even stand a chance at winning. Infused with a brilliantly exhaustive list of items, clues, and tasks, this funny, frenetic read will have you rooting for Mary the whole way, hoping that glory will be hers for the taking. Ever since I read the synopsis, I couldn't wait to get my hands on this book because it seems like such a fun read. I just sort of like the whole idea of them participating in this school event, this unofficial school event, and in their trek to glory, they sort of have to, you know, really find out who they are. That's a sort of a realistic story that I think a lot of people could relate to. So I am really excited to read this book. This next book that I have is a pretty popular one right now. Once I say the name of who convinced me to pick up this book, you guys are instantly going to know what book it is. So this book has been on my TBR shelf on Goodreads for a while, but I just never picked it up. I was like, oh, you know, it can wait, I'll read it right before the movie comes out, whatever. It's, you know, it's not a big deal. I watched the trailer for this movie when it came out, and I was floored. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. And then Cash J. Tuck did her trailer reaction, and I'm sure all of you know what book it is now, and I knew I had to pick it up. I've never seen her that excited for anything, unless it had to do with The Hunger Games, Twilight, or PJO. And obviously you guys know what book this is now, and it is Beautiful Creatures by Garcia and Margaret Stohl. It is book number 1 in the Chronicles, I believe. So not only was Cass J. Tuck raving over this book, but Jesse over at Jesse the Reader, he was going on and on about this book, so I definitely can't wait to finally pick it up and see what all the fuss is about. The next book that I have is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Titan's Curse by Riordan. If you guys don't know, I love the Percy Jackson series, and as you guys also know, I suck at picking up sequels. I actually read Sea of Monsters like right when I started the channel, which was in like May or June or something like that, so obviously it's been a few months, so I am really excited to read this book. I'm obviously not going to read the synopsis because it is the 3rd book in the series. The next book that I have is The Devouring by Simon Holt. It is book number 1 in the Devouring trilogy. There's not really a synopsis on this book, but I guess I'll read the back. Devours, evil demonic beings that inhabit human bodies on Starry Night, the darkest hours of the winter solstice. When dark creeps in and eats the light, bury your fears on Starry Night. For in the winter's blackest hours comes the feasting of devours. No one can see it, the life they stole. Your body is here, but not your soul. Now, I've actually heard really good things about this book, and I've heard that it's actually really creepy, so I am super excited to read this book. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I ordered 2 sets of books, 6 books in each. I got these all from Barnes & Noble, by the way. If you guys don't know, my to-be-read shelf on Goodreads is over 1,600 books long. So, as you can imagine, figuring out what books I want to buy is difficult would be an understatement. I'm going to start ordering my books online for the most part, and I'm going to order maybe about 6 books per order. That's about as much as I'm willing to spend per like paycheck on books. So a lot of times when I was going through like my Goodreads TBR shelf, I would pick out these books, but then when I looked back, they'd all be the same thing. Like they'd be majority contemporary or majority dystopian or something like that. So with this 6-book limit that I set myself per paycheck, I decided to split it up into 6 genre slash themes slash whatever you want to call them. That way there's an even amount of everything with each book haul thing. The first sort of section will be contemporary. The second will be a dystopian slash apocalyptic slash post-apocalyptic book. The third will be a paranormal book. Another book will be a sequel because, as I said in an earlier book haul and earlier in the video, I suck at picking up sequels. I keep starting new series but never continuing with them. So this way I'm at least making little tiny progress in trying to catch up in the series that I have already started. The next book will be a year debut, and that's pretty self-explanatory. It'll be a book that has come out in that year. The next book will be any book, so it could be another one of the above genres, or it could be a very genre-specific book, so steampunk or sci-fi or anything like that. This first set of books doesn't apply to that because I didn't think of this sort of plan until after I bought this one, before I bought this next set of books. This first book that I have is the sequel of the bunch, and it is Invincible by Sherrilyn Kenyon. It is book number 2 in the Chronicles of Nick something. I don't know how many books are in this. I did a review on Infinity, the first book, very early on in my booktubing career, and I do not recommend you go watch that review because it's terrible. But I will tell you that I really loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. The next book that I have is in the dystopian slash apocalyptic slash post-apocalyptic. That book is The Enemy by Charlie Higson. It is book number 1 in the Enemy quadrilogy, I believe. Right now it's a quadrilogy. I'm not sure if he's planning on writing any more books. There's no synopsis in this book. There's not one inside, there's not one on the back. So let me just read the synopsis off of Goodreads. They'll chase you, they'll rip you open, they'll feed on you. When the sickness came, every parent, policeman, politician, every adult fell ill. The lucky ones died. The others are crazed, confused, and hungry. Only children under 14 remain, and they're fighting to survive. Now there are rumors of a safe place to hide, and so a gang of children begin their quest across London, where all through the city, down alleyways and deserted houses underground, the grown-ups lie in wait. But can they make it there alive? So I love that. I think it sounds really, really awesome, and I can't wait to get started on this. Now this next book is a year debut, so obviously it has come out in 2012. Most of you probably know who the author is because he is a booktuber. The book that I am talking about is Velveteen by Daniel Marks. This is book number 1 in the Velveteen trilogy, I believe it's going to be. I think he said there's going to be a trilogy. I don't know. As I said, most of us know him as the ever so hilarious Danny Marks YA. This book has a synopsis in it, so let me go ahead and read that. Velveteen Monroe is dead. At 16, she was kidnapped and murdered by a madman named Bonesaw. But that's not the problem. The problem is she landed in the city of the dead, and while it's not a fiery inferno, it's certainly no heaven. It's gray, action, and crumbling more and more by the day, and everyone has a job to do, which doesn't leave Velveteen much time to do anything about what's really on her mind. Bonesaw. Velveteen aches to deliver the bloody punishment her killer deserves, and she's figured out just how to do it. She'll haunt him for the rest of his days. It'll be brutal and awesome. But crossing the divide between the living and the dead has devastating consequences. Velveteen's obsessive haunting could actually crack the foundation of her new world, not to mention jeopardize her very soul. A risk she's willing to take, except fate has just given her a reason to stick around, an unreasonably hot and completely off-limits co-worker. Velveteen can't help herself when it comes to breaking rules, or getting revenge, and she just might be angry enough to take everyone down with her. I am super excited to read this book, and I actually just got done watching Katrina's wrap-up, and she read this book. She mentioned that this book doesn't mainly focus on Velveteen's revenge on Bonesaw, so I think that'll really help me when I go into reading this book, because originally, before I saw her video, I thought that that's mainly what this book is going to be about. But now that I know that that is not the main focus of it, I think that'll lessen the disappointment for me when I go to read this. The next book that I have is from the contemporary genre, and it is Amy and Roger's epic Detour. This was really popular like a few months ago, I think it was. Like, I remember everyone was reading this book and everybody really loved it. I'm really excited to read it, and the first thing I noticed, it's really set up really cute. It wouldn't be a road trip without some detours. Amy Curry is not looking forward to her summer. Her mother decided to move across the country, and now it's Amy's responsibility to get their car from California to Connecticut. The only problem is, since her father died in a car accident, she isn't ready to get behind the wheel. Enter Roger, an old family friend. He also has to make the cross-country trip, and has plenty of baggage of his own. The road home may be unfamiliar, especially with their friendship venturing into uncharted territory, but together, Amy and Roger will figure out how to map their way. I am really excited to read this book, and it's so cute, and I love the way it's set up. I think I might do a review on this eventually when I get around to reading it, just so I could show off like the cute things in this book. This next book fell under the other category, and it is a sci-fi book. This next book fell under the other category. It is a sci-fi book. That book is Across the Universe by Beth Revis. It is book number 1 in the Across the Universe trilogy. Another thing about this book is that this is the version where the dust cover you can turn inside out, and it's the blueprint of Godspeed. Amy is a cryogenically frozen passenger aboard the spaceship Godspeed. She has left her boyfriend, friends, and planet behind to join her parents as a member of Project Arcship. Amy and her parents believe they will wake on her new planet, Centauri, Earth 300 years in the future, but 50 years before Godspeed's scheduled landing, Cryo Chamber 42 is mysteriously unplugged and Amy is violently woken from her frozen slumber. Someone tried to murder her. Now Amy is caught inside a tiny world where nothing makes sense. Godspeed's 2,312 passengers have forfeited all control to Eldest, a tyrannical and frightening leader. And Elder, eldest rebellious teenage heir, is both fascinated with Amy and eager to discover whether he has what it takes to lead. Amy desperately wants to trust Elder, but should she put her faith in a boy who has never seen life outside the ship's cold metal walls? All Amy knows is that she and Elder must race to unlock Godspeed's hidden secrets before whoever woke her tries to kill again. I am so excited to read this book. So excited. This will be my first ever sci-fi book, so hopefully I like it. I've heard really good things about it, and the story seems really great, so high hopes. This next book lands under the paranormal genre. That book is Bad Girls Don't Die by Katie Allender. It is book number 1 in the Bad Girls Don't Die trilogy. Now, I haven't heard much about this book. I saw a couple reviews on Goodreads, and they were pretty mixed, so I'm not sure. The synopsis seems really awesome and the cover is really pretty, so hopefully it's good. When Alexis's little sister Casey becomes obsessed with an antique doll, Alexis thinks nothing of it. Casey is a weird kid, period. Alexis is considered weird too by the kids in her high school, by her parents, even by her own goth friends. Things got weirder though when the old house they live in starts changing. Doors open and close by themselves, water boils on the unlit stove, and an unplugged air conditioner turns the house cold enough for the girls to see their breath. Casey is changing too. Her blue eyes go green and she uses old-fashioned language, then forgets chunks of time. Most disturbing of all is a dangerous new chip on Casey's shoulder. The formerly gentle, doll-loving child is gone and the new Casey is angry. Alexis is the only one who can stop her sister, but what if that green-eyed girl isn't even Casey anymore? So it seemed like a really good plot and it seems really promising, so I'm hoping that I'm not let down by it. Alright, so that is the end of the book haul. If you guys have read any of the books, please let me know in the comments what you thought of them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. Also, if you guys want to see a review for sure on any of these books, please let me know. Once again, all my contact information will be down below. I'm going to try not to make this too long-winded because this video is so long already. I will see you in my quarantine review, and I hope you liked this video. Goodbye, guys. But what are you eating? The next book that I have is in the dystopian / apocalyptic / post-apocalyptic